insane car problem I've ever seen. I actually think that these Neanderthals, these cavemen, just haven't thought of the concept of a multi-story car park yet. Because why does the entire fucking city look like this? Every fucking centimeter of usable space is used for the most brain-dead parking I've ever witnessed. The whole time I was in Bucharest, I was trying to figure out, how does this guy get out? How does this guy get out? How the fuck does this guy get out? What the fuck is wrong with Bucharestians' brains, man? And also, why does every single building in Bucharest either look like this or like this? Literally the same day I saw the palace, which by the way is the heaviest building in the world. I also saw this scrapyard where they were burning tires to stay warm right behind me. But to be fair, whenever I talk to a Romanian about this, they tell me Bucharest really doesn't represent the rest of the country. So in light of that, I'll give these guys a little sympathy and put them one tier above the lowest tier. Whatever letter that is, it goes in that tier. On the other hand, Greece. Like most Brits, I've been here multiple times. I have a lot of Greek experience, okay? And whilst Athens existing will unfortunately stop this country from getting an S, I can't lie, I love Greece so fucking much, man. The food, oh, the people outside of Athens, oh, the weather, oh, the music, oh, the sea, the buildings, the history, the vibe. Oh my god, bro. Do I care that the Greek government probably put me at an extremely high risk of dying in a high-speed train crash because the exact train I caught tragically crashed a month later and the carriage I sat in would have meant a 0% chance of survival? No, I love Greek people and their way of doing shit, man. Even if that means they let one fat, sleepy Greek man called Pampapompopolimios or some shit control the entire high-speed train network with pen and paper. Seriously though, the Greek people deserve a lot better than the current dingleberry of a government and an economic policy they call their own. I would highly recommend that you go and visit any of these bits of Greece I've circled in red on this map. It will open your eyes and enlighten your mind to a truly beautiful way of life. A tier, high A tier, just definitely avoid Athens, unless eating overpriced tourist trap slop next to a tweaking out heroin addict is your idea of a fun time.
Croatia is pretty good, mainly because they have this coastline right here, which is absolutely beautiful and a very nice place. Dubrovnik is very nice, even though it consists of 100% Anglo tourists in the summer. When I was there, I could literally only hear British English. Everyone there was from the UK or Australia. I would see someone not white, and I'm like, oh, this is the first person I've seen here not from the UK. And then they would say something like bottle of water, and it's like, you too? Damn. Hey, you guys know that Irish pub in Dubrovnik was popping. And because Croatia has this amazing coastline of the Adriatic Sea, it results in having amazing seaside cities such as Split and Dubrovnik specifically, where Game of Thrones was filmed and which is reported to be the most over-touristed city in Europe. Even bigger than Venice and Barcelona, and Dubrovnik's counterpart up the coastline is... Today I find myself in Split, Croatia, basically Africa with electricity. It's fine though, this post was made like 7 years ago. Split is way better now and cheaper than Dubrovnik as well, and it looks nice. And their salaries are not that good by European standards, but who needs high salaries when you can watch your country compete in the World Cup while drinking ojushko and then next day just chill at the beach and have this beautiful view. Croatia, A tier, goated country. Never in my 22 years of life have I ever first heard of a country by hearing they're lazy and sleep a lot. Until Montenegro. And Montenegrins are certainly not helping that stereotype by holding national laziest citizen competitions every year. This is a competition about who can lay in bed for most days in a row, and the winner was this woman who won 1,000 euros. My goal. It's just respectable. Montenegro is a very small country and very beautiful with mountains and a big debt to the Chinese. Montenegro is a very mountainous country, so they hired the Chinese to build this big highway that basically spans the entire country. It was supposed to go from the very south of the country to the very north, connecting to Serbia. So the locals living there would have less trouble navigating through the Montenegrin mountains and just had a good paved highway, basically like Death Stranding highways. And while this highway is pretty cool and very useful for the locals, it's already cost $1 billion and it's nowhere near complete. Just so you know, Montenegro's GDP is $6 billion, so they've spent a good part of their economy on this one road alone. A lot of this price inflation was caused by local corruption, which is a Balkan classic, surprising absolutely no one. But even though Montenegro is not particularly rich and their people don't make that much money, it's still so beautiful and it seems like such a chill place. It deserves C tier. Estonia is the rich brother of the Baltics. I know a lot of people might consider this offensive, but I basically consider Estonia an extension of Finland, because if you put the two against each other, Estonia literally looks more Nordic than Finland. Finland looks like it's a post-Soviet country, and Estonia is the one who was actually a post-Soviet country. And honestly, Estonia is goated. It looks nice, their public services are amazing, like they pay 20% tax, but all Tallinn residents can use the public transport for free. They got cool trams. There's even an Instagram page about Tallinn trams, plus free healthcare and universities. Yeah, that's absolutely goated. Along with this, they're the richest country in the Baltics, and according to TripAdvisor, the best thing you can do in Helsinki is to take a ferry to Estonia, and you can actually see a city that looks Nordic.
It tore me apart, but I learned an important lesson. You can't count on anyone.
When you go from Helsinki to Tallinn, the city gets more Nordic and the alcohol gets way cheaper, which is why there are a lot of day trips from Finland to the Tallinn Alkostor. The thing is though, Estonia is tiny. It literally only has a population of 1.4 million people, which is around 200,000 less people than Tbilisi's metro area. But size isn't everything, it's about how you use it, or however that. That saying goes, and Estonians are using it very well by focusing their economy on IT and it being nicknamed Estonia because of it. Absolutely goated country, beautiful, with amazing public services and good salaries. S tier. Visit Estonia and visit my friend's Georgian restaurant while you're there as well. Latvia's position in the Baltics is being the broke brother that you have to buy food for, and then they hit you with wait till I give my money right. Since they're the only reason Rail Baltica is not being completed. One of the funniest things about Latvia is how they bullshitted their way of keeping the Freedom Monument up after they got occupied by the Soviets. Because the Freedom Monument was erected because they won against the Soviets the first time and Latvia became independent, they went like, actually, Stalin, the 3 stars on this monument represent the 3 Baltic republics held by the Soviet Union. And they went by with it until Latvia became independent, and now it's back to its original meaning. Riga is pretty nice. I've been there. It looks cool. I also saw a picture of Tsar Nicholas II framed in a souvenir store in Riga because of the heavy Russification Latvia went through under Stalin, and there are clear remnants of it to this day. Also, Riga is crazy because I swear I didn't see a single car on the street. The streets were just tram, and Latvia generally has a very good location because you can get to the capital of the other 2 Baltic countries in just 4 hours with a bus ride. If you ever find yourself in Riga, FlixBus yourself to Tallinn or Vilnius so you can see those cities as well. And eat at Lido. Lido is absolutely goated. Amazing food for dirt cheap. Latvia goes into B tier for broke. Being Lithuanian is not easy, okay? Here's how the schedule goes. Wake up, go on 4chan to talk about how you ruled the Slavs. It is now 7 a.m. Time to drink. You see guys, Lithuania used to be a very big country, but because Lithuania is so nice, it gave its territory away so other countries could have it as well. But honestly though, Lithuania is goated. They have the oldest language in Europe, the highest alcohol consumption. They also have some traditions that I would be very scared if I was around. Like me personally, I would kind of stay away from this, you know? They have the highest salaries in the Baltics besides Estonia, first country to secede from the USSR, they're based, and generally it's a good country. Like for example, if I had to go to Europe to study and they told me like, okay, you're going to study in Lithuania, I wouldn't be mad, not at all. And I wouldn't doubt the quality of the university either. Lithuania gets A tier. The events of Half-Life 2 are based on a real place called Sofia, Bulgaria. And I'm not even joking, here are the maps. I'm actually going to say much more positive things than you would expect about Bulgaria. So what if like 30% of their country left after the 90s? So did mine. Bulgaria has one thing that any of the other countries I mentioned do not have. They have their own Michael Jackson. Aziz makes absolute bangers, and I honestly might go to Bulgaria just to go to one of his concerts. Bulgarians will swear they hate gay people until Aziz starts playing, and then it's all but Bulgarian beaches are absolutely amazing, and despite literally all odds, they're in the EU. How the fuck are they in the EU? I do not understand. Let me in too. And Sofia looks pretty good too. I'd love to go to City 17, and while the salaries are pretty bad, it's also very cheap to live, so it kind of balances out. But it doesn't help their massive population loss because every Bulgarian emigrates to richer EU countries. Bulgaria gets C tier. Moldova is the Katsu, don't say it, no, poorest country in Europe, and it functions just as you would expect from a poor country. However, their press freedom is better than most other European countries, way more than all their neighbors, landing in the top 30 worldwide, and it's still a safe country and Moldovans are based, and honestly it would be a very good country if it wasn't just so unbelievably broke. It's also the least visited country in Europe with only 11,000 people visiting it yearly. For example, 235,000 people visited Ukraine last year, and they're literally at war right now. And Moldova is named after the Moldovan River, which isn't even in Moldova's borders, it's in Romania. And yeah, I'm sorry Moldovans, but it's getting a D tier. Albanian politicians have mastered being unemployed. It was 2 p.m. in Tirana, and Albania's prime minister had the time to meet ISO Speed on short notice. These motherfuckers aren't doing anything. Although Albania gets insane points for having the hardest flag of all time. Not only that, but the fact that you can do that cool thing with your hands just adds aura points. And also a lot of you might think that Albania is just Tirana, but Albania is extremely beautiful. They have probably the most beautiful mountains in Europe, and their beaches with the clear bright blue water are amazing. Like this literally looks like the Maldives, but it's Albania. Also, Albania is the only country that can rival post-Soviet countries in their amount of G-Wagons bought by corruption. And because of this, the salaries are extremely low, which is why many Albanians emigrate to other countries. And Albania usually would get D tier, but their insane beauty pushes them up to C tier. Kosovo, so awash with fake euro coins, they are accepted as payment. Kosovo has reached the levels of vassal state of America we never thought possible. You know how much you have to meet ride the US to celebrate 4th of July in Europe? You see, Kosovo is horrendously broke. If you thought Moldova was broke, Kosovo is next level. The average salary is like $400, $500, and I genuinely can't say anything about Kosovo. This building is cool, I guess, other than that it's a very poor country. The thing is, Kosovo is a disputed territory between the Serbians and the Albanians, and I honestly don't know how anyone hasn't come up with this, but we'll go by my golden rule on how to fix every territory dispute ever. Just give it to the UK. See? Now none of you get anything. And now it's the UK's burden to see which euro coins are real and which are not. But honestly, they got ethnically cleansed by Serbs, which didn't happen, but they would do it again. So despite everything else being bad, I gotta give them victim points for that. And instead of F, just put them in D. Yeah, Belarus is cooked, I can't lie. One of the most corrupt countries in Europe. They're basically European North Korea, with Lukashenko ruling the country with an iron fist for the last 30 years. Yes, he has been in power since 1994. Belarusians tried to have a revolution, but then Russian forces helped their puppet Belarusian government squash them. Salaries are ass. That's why every Belarusian ever works in the IT industry, preferably for a foreign company, and generally anything computer related, because literally any other profession results in you making less than $500 a month. There is a reason Belarusians keep trying to sneak over into Poland, because honestly, so would I. I get it. I feel bad. It's just the thing that's going on right now, and not many of us can do anything about it until Russia uncolonizes them. Also, Belarus has not been having the good last couple hundred years at all. In World War II, they had the most amount of casualties percentage-wise, where nearly a third of their population were casualties of the Germans, also depicted in the Le Deep movie, Come and See, which is about the German war crimes in Belarus. The only thing I can say is I wish them a happy recovery, and I hope everything turns out better for them, because the whole Belarus situation sucks. F tier. Well. What can I say? I really appreciate the Russian Federation's devotion to staying broke. You know, it's very hard to be poor when you're handed gold on a silver platter. Infinite resources and they're still broke. That is mainly because currently 41% of the country's spending goes to the military. That leaves only 59% of the state budget to be for universities, hospitals, schools, roads, infrastructure, paying salaries of state workers, and literally everything else. You know, it has so much potential. I would say I will go fix it myself, but the last time a Georgian tried fixing Russia, every other country that I mentioned got terrorized. So I'm gonna stick to my own borders this time, unlike Russia. But come on, bro, lock in. I need one good neighbor except Armenia, because Georgia is bordered by 2 Turkeys and Nazi Germany. What can I say? The most corrupt country in Europe, imperialist power. How do you think Russia became the biggest country in the world without imperialism? Dog shit salaries, like $800 a month for an experienced doctor. And the only country out of this entire list where you can be taken out of the comfort of your home and family and be mobilized to get blown up by a Ukrainian drone. Russia gets the easiest F tier ever. Again, even if I didn't care about the imperialism, right? It is still the only country where you can just randomly get mobilized and get sent to die in an aggressive war. Not even a defensive one. Easy F. And for Georgia, I'll be getting my friend Roman No Fuckers to rank it instead of me. Because if I do it, I'll be extremely biased. But he can't rank it low or he'll get jumped by me. So we're in a very good sweet spot here.
Everybody calm down, a Russian is speaking. Hey there people, I'm Roman and I lived in the country of Georgia for 2 years after I escaped Russia, and my boy Gatsu has asked me to rank Georgia because he thinks that as a Georgian he's gonna be too biased. Let me put this on, which was actually a gift from Gatsu. There we go, now that is more like it. Now look, as a Russian who lived in Georgia, raised in Georgia, I'm also gonna be biased because this country kind of saved my life a little bit, to be quite honest. And the people of Georgia helped me out a lot through my journey of escape in Russia. So let's start with the people. Right away, S tier. They're great, and yes, they do have a lot of people who don't like Russians, but Georgians are actually so down to earth and so ready to talk. I've never truly had any terrible experience. They'll take you in, they'll buy you drinks, they'll give you drugs, they'll invite you to your house, and give you wine or whatever. They're very hospitable. S tier. Now next thing is culture, architecture, and so on. The size, basically. Absolutely S tier. And I'm not even glazing here because Georgia is not only an ancient culture which is one of the first Christian countries in the world, but they also have insane nature, mountains, so they have crazy ancient cathedrals and monasteries all over the place. If looks could kill, baby I'm a fashion demon. But also they've got Soviet swag, with some of the most incredible commie blocks of all time being created and built in Georgia, because Georgia is the birthplace of Joseph Stalin, the greatest man of all time. And yes, I'm saying that because I have this hat on right now. Now, as far as wages and living in the country, if you're an expat Russian digital nomad YouTuber like myself, it's S tier, but if you're a regular Georgian, it's probably more like C, because the country is rather poor, the salaries are not that high and stuff. But who cares about that, because Georgia by far has one of the best cuisines in all of the world. And once again, I'm not saying this as glazing. Even before I lived in Georgia, I thought so. Khachapuri, Khinkali. Georgians have mastered the art of cooking, and also their wine is insane, and it's so cheap too. Plus, the country is also relatively chill with weed and drugs. Tbilisi is known for its club scene, with clubs like Basiani, Hidi, and Lev Bank. I had many a fun time over there. And I'm gonna give Georgia another S tier for banking, taxes, and bureaucracy, because Georgia actually has very quick and nice bureaucracy. It's very easy to run a business in Georgia, and it's very easy to run a business in Georgia, to pay its taxes, and also, on top of that, the tax rate for an individual entrepreneur is 1%. Yes, guys, this is not a joke. 1%. So if you want to be a digital nomad, whatever, paying 0% tax, don't go to Dubai, go to Georgia. At least it's a real country, you know what I'm saying? Georgian people, Georgian culture, Georgian music, all of this is great. However, unfortunately, like you might know from Gatsu, the politics are not the greatest. And unfortunately, the fake country of Russia has a lot of influence over modern Georgia, and the current government is kind of interested in making Georgia into a Belarus too or something. So there are some big positives and there are some big negatives. So all in all, I'd say Georgia is a solid A tier in my opinion. Oh, and also I want to mention the views. I had the best view of all time in my apartment because I was on a hill, and there's a lot of hills in Tbilisi, and overall you get great views all the time. So yeah, that was my rating of Georgia. I hope I did well enough. Georgians, please don't beat me up when I go visit your country again. Thank you. Nachwan this.
If you ever go to Yerevan, you will see the most amount of supercars you have ever seen in your life. I grew up thinking they were broke like me. Turns out they're balling. Why is every car a Tesla, Rolls Royce, or a Lamborghini? What's going on here? Is it the LA Armenian money or corruption? It's both. Armenia is lit though. Yerevan looks nice. They suffer from the same thing Hungary does, which is an absolutely crazy currency, so you never know how much you're paying for something. I've been there to see 50 Cent live and it was amazing. Even got a shot of this gold Niva, which is the most Armenian thing ever. And they have a lot of culture export, such as System of a Down, absolutely goated band, the Kardashian family. Arman Tsarukian, this golden Olympic wrestler, Cher, and the entire city of Glendale. They're the country with the most press freedom in the region. Lake Sevan is beautiful, and overall, it's a pretty nice place to visit. Though. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good place to live, since you're always at risk of making $500 a month for a full-time job. But their Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's Instagram is absolutely dope because he just posts videos of himself cycling, which is pretty funny. And even though I like a lot of things about the country, especially how they have abandoned Russia lately, Armenia is still very broke, which is why more Armenians live outside of Armenia than in the country itself. And honestly, the brokenness pushes it down, but the beauty pushes them up. So Armenia gets a C tier. You know, Azerbaijan looks like a rich country, and it is. But just like any of the other oil states, the people don't see shit of that oil money. Average salary in Baku, the capital, is around $600. Their press freedom is absolutely horrible, where journalists have to escape the country a lot of times, and it is also essentially a monarchy, since the Aliyev family has been ruling Azerbaijan for the last 31 years. It is a relatively important country on the geopolitical scale though, since they have a lot of oil, which is why they were able to grow their economy this much. And also Azerbaijan is the origin of one of my favorite memes ever.
Meydanın tam karşısında şurada. Hello, Thomas Shelby, Mafia. Mafia, okay. Thomas Shelby. Thomas Shelby. Evet, Sigma.
Azerbaijan goes to D tier. Come on boys, let's lock in less nationalism, more human rights, and more of that oil money going to the people. Finally. I'm done. But wait, there's more. I promised you a bonus country. You see, the previous video I made was about the Nordics, and I got a lot of angry comments about skipping a certain Nordic country. I got this DM too. Motherfucker, you forgot my country of beep. Don't call us irrelevant country, you come from Georgia. At least nobody mixes us up with a US state. I'm sorry, that was rude. I'm making an Eastern Europe tier list video. Do you want me to put beep in there as a bonus round so I talk about it? Oh yes, that would be lovely. I'd love to see my country covered. Love your videos, by the way. This country is Iceland, which gets the rank of honorary Eastern European for this video. So as an honorary Eastern European country, we'll rank Iceland. You see, Iceland is a fictional country based on the Hideo Kojima video game Death Stranding, where to move you have to go through these rocky mountains and uncomfortable terrain. The thing is, there is nothing to do in Iceland. This is proved by the fact that Icelanders just make shit up so they're not bored. Around 7 to 8% of Icelanders claim that elves exist, and around 45% claim it is likely or possible. This is what happens when you're located on an island in the middle of the ocean and have a population of less than 400,000 people. They don't even have McDonald's there. That's how you know you're cooked. There's basically no industry as well, since their two biggest exports are aluminum and fish. But it is a very, very beautiful place that also has high salaries. So putting the fact that shit doesn't happen there aside, it's a very good country. What makes Iceland absolutely goated in my opinion is that they're one of the few countries in the world without mosquitoes. And that is the biggest plus for a country I can imagine. I hate being bit by those buzzing fucks, and if you've never left Iceland, you've never been bit by a mosquito. Total mosquito death. Because of the beauty and the high salaries and no mosquitoes, Iceland goes into A tier. We're done. I'm probably fucking cooked by the end of editing this vid, so make sure to like and subscribe, share it around, and donate to my Patreon, and goodbye.
The fun begins.
Father always said, don't lose.
A war criminal once said, "It may be dangerous to be America's enemy, but to be America's friend is fatal." I'm not Balkan, so I don't usually agree with war criminals, but this one was saying the truth here, because we all saw on video what unfolded between Trump and Zelensky, where an American ally literally at war with America's enemy for like the last 100 years and the biggest country in the world was shouted at and scolded by Trump, the vice president, and this guy as well. This whole argument was so artificial, it was crazy to see. Zelensky literally didn't do anything disrespectful or wrong, and they started yelling at him. Now, I'm from the hood, so you know sometimes people come up to you on the street just to start fucking with you and making up any reason to get into an altercation. This is exactly what happened. Demanding an apology, demanding a thank you, so fucking stupid. Especially because this was all on video and we can see the entire argument beginning to the end. And by we, I mean the entire world saw this unfold. And everyone saw how America treats its allies. And this live TV argument was so bullshit that even Americans think that Trump or JD Vance were guilty of starting everything. The thing is, America is legally required to protect Ukraine because they made Ukraine give up their nukes in exchange for protection from the US in the Budapest Memorandum. Let me start off by saying I absolutely hate the current American rule. America has never been the good guy or anything like that. No superpower really has been, but this is too much, man. We watched America literally curse out their ally on live TV. Everybody knows I've been supporting Ukraine very hard since the war began, and after Ukraine started getting foreign aid, it became a populist move to shit on Ukraine, and all people who know nothing about the dynamics of post-Soviet countries have wanted to say their objectively incorrect opinions about this. Like, I'm sure Theo Vaughn really understands the dynamics here. He then deleted his post because he's a comedian and can't even fucking point to Europe on a map. And other people who are constantly on Trump's like Lex Friedman, you piece of who would interview a just to hear his side of the story and call him a friend whom he bonded with over their shared love of Russian literature or some shit. Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment fucking sucks. If I wanted to hear a Russian guy whining about being poor, they're right here, I would just go and fucking visit. And while Zelensky says that he doesn't think that his public humiliation was planned, I think he's low-key saying it to not fully ruin relations between him and the US, because there's this one Marjorie Taylor Greene who is extremely anti-Ukraine, and her boyfriend somehow got one of those rare Oval Office interviewer spots and decided to ask Zelensky this.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
First of all, country leaders who are at war with a much larger empire don't usually wear suits. They don't really have time for that shit, you know? It's only the motherfuckers who don't care about this wearing suits because it's not a life or death situation for them, such as Bush during all the Middle Eastern wars and more. You think if you're at war with the US or Russia, you're gonna give a fuck about wearing a suit? This is a talking point that has been propagandized from people funded by Russia or being a useful idiot that supports them for free. And also, Elon doesn't wear shit either, so these are clearly double standards. Elon Musk is in the Oval Office looking like one of those child predators they catch on YouTube and then beat up, along with a fucking chainsaw, and they're demanding Zelensky wear a suit and tie and make fun of him. So now a country's leader who is defending an aggressive war from the biggest country in the world is being made fun of from a guy who's famous for fucking this woman. And their whole argument was very disappointing to see. They're blaming him that he wants to start World War III, not the country that invaded them. You ever scroll through the news and feel like people are living two completely different realities? One headline is like, Zelensky just doomed Ukraine because he is bad. And the other says, Zelensky is amazing. So which is it? Did he get cooked or did he cook? You can get very confused on the internet by these types of articles. But you can also use ground news, which will help you see through the bullshit and figure out what's real. That's why I'm glad they're sponsoring today's video. They pull in thousands thousands of sources worldwide and actually organize them. So instead of doom scrolling through 50 insane takes, I can compare headlines side by side, check a source's bias, factuality, and even see who owns the source. It can save you from some truly deranged rabbit holes. Right now, there's a ton of noise around the US-Ukraine relations. One side says Zelensky fumbled the bag, the other says he didn't. He actually did a good thing. I can also compare Ukrainian sources' reports on this versus how Western sources are framing it. And if I want to dodge the most unhinged takes, I can filter by factuality and location. Because, you know, InfoWars isn't really gonna give you some accurate information. I started using ground news because the internet is a minefield, especially after the rise of the far right. Every story feels like, and you don't know if you're getting news or propaganda, and ground news actually helps with that. And with everything going on, wars, elections, and whatever, now's the worst time to be clueless. Right now, you can get 40% off the Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to everything for only $5 a month. Just go to ground.news/gatsu or scan the QR code on screen. Thank you a lot to Ground News for sponsoring the video. And I agree with Zelensky completely here. I cannot see one thing he said that was wrong, and I'm not even meat riding here. Russia has shown time and time again that they cannot be trusted with a ceasefire. Russia has been at war with Ukraine since 2014, and they have violated the ceasefire not once, not twice, but 25 times. Until, of course, fully invading Ukraine in 2022. So obviously Zelensky is asking for security guarantees because there have been at least 25 other cases with Ukraine alone where they have violated their ceasefire agreement. Do you think they became the biggest country in the world through diplomacy and not violating their ceasefire agreements? And right after this, Elon, who holds a significant amount of power since he's always with Trump and always keeps cutting services for normal Americans because why does he care? He's a billionaire, he can cut Medicaid, it's not like he's gonna give a fuck, he doesn't need it. Elon said he wants to leave NATO and the UN, so then all of Europe is just undefended. Fucking North Korea is in the UN. This is the easiest way to destroy your global hegemony, and they did.
Cheater's just a fancy word for winner.
die young.